Today we are going to be talking a little bit about perimeter. So perimeter is the measurement around a shape. Perimeter even has the word meter in it because I am measuring. Now perimeter, the easiest way to remember this is just imagining walking around the outside of the shape. I always think of the word pedometer that used to be what we all used before we had fancy devices to measure how far you walked. So I just measure with like a device how far I walk in the day. So I imagine what would my pedometer say is the perimeter of the shape if I walked around it. So let's start first off with a shape. Here I can see how I have little marks all the way around it. And if I imagine a little ant walking along, I would see that they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then they would turn 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then if they come around, they'll go the exact same, 5 and then 10. So all together, they would go 30 of these little hashtags all the way around the perimeter, the outside edge of the shape. So we figured that out by seeing that we did 5 plus 10 and then another 5 and another 10. 5 plus 5 is 10. I can regroup. 1, 2, 3. So I can count it as I go. My zero got a little small there. Or I can also use my knowledge of adding to come up with the total amount. So the perimeter for that shape, we said 30. So if I don't know what the units are, I can always use the label units. But because I am measuring, I have to have a label. You cannot measure something without sharing that measurement label because otherwise nobody has any idea what you're talking about. So for the next several examples, my label is going to be in inches. So let me wipe this off briefly. And here I am going to go through a few different shapes. So we've already done our rectangle there. Lovely. Next up, we're going to go through a triangle. So here we've got a nice big obtuse angle right here. And if I look at it carefully, I can see that the sides are not all the same, so this is a scalene. So my obtuse scalene triangle, I want to know what is the perimeter of this shape. Well, when I take a ruler and measure each of the distances from point to point, I am going to end up with 8.5 inches, 13.5 inches, and 8 inches. So I already did that part where I took my ruler and I measured each of those 3 sides. And you should notice that the perimeter, you will have the same set of numbers as number of sides on the shape. So if you're measuring a triangle, you better have 3 numbers there to add together. If you're measuring an octagon, you need to have 8 numbers to add together. If you're measuring a pentagon, 5, and so forth. So first here, I know that if I add a half plus a half, I'm going to get a whole number. So yay me. I am going to then regroup, carry that over. I see the 2 8s, and my brain says that would be a really easy math fact to start with because I know that 8 doubled is going to be 16. 17, 18, 19, 20. Ooh, that's cool. And then 2 plus 1 is 3. I pull down my decimal point. Oh, if it's a 0 down here, I don't even really need that. I could just leave it as the whole number 30. inches. So the label here is inches, and since I was just walking one dimension at a time, it's just inches. When you get into area, you're going to be talking about square inches. And when you get into volume, you're going to be talking about cubic inches. But right now with perimeter, very simple, just a straightforward label of inches. So the perimeter of that obtuse scalene triangle was 30 inches. Next up, we're going to do this right. See how it has a right angle here? Nice 90-degree angle. And the two sides are the same. Sometimes it helps if I turn it this way and it's easier to see. I can see that this is a right isosceles triangle. Two sides are congruent. And when I measured them with my ruler, I found that I had two sides that were both 8 inches and one side that was 11 inches. So when I add these all together, I've got 8, 8, and 11. Now just like the last one, I'm going to label each one of these so that I don't forget. You can never over-label. I see the 8 and the 8 and I go, oh, I know that one, that's 16. Oh, 16 plus 11, oh, I can do that one in my head, it's 27. So I can see 27 inches is going to be the perimeter measurement around the outside edge of that shape. Next, we are going to do another triangle. This one is an acute triangle. All of these angles are less than 90 degrees. And I do see that it has two sides that match, so it is an isosceles triangle. And when I measured it, I found that I had two sides that were 9 inches and one that was 8 inches. So in that case, I have 9, 9, 8. But remember, I measured in inches, inches, inches. I now can say, oh, hey, I know 9 doubled is 18. 18 plus 8. Sometimes I write a little note on the side so that if I need to do any calculations, I have somewhere to work it out. 8 plus 8 is 16. Carry the one over, 26. So 26 inches is going to be the measurement around that triangle. For the next couple here, I'm going to do a couple quadrilaterals. A quadrilateral has 4 straight sides. So the first one I'm going to do is this parallelogram here. And just like the rectangle, I can see that I have 2 sides that are the same length and 2 sides that are the same length. When I measured these, I found that the short sides were 4.5 inches and the long sides were each 8 inches. So I have 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches, 8 inches, 8 inches. Now I know that when I add 4.5 together, it's 9. That's just a math fact that I happen to know. But I could also add them together to see that, oh, 2 halves go together to make a whole, regroup, 9. Okay, so if that equals 9 inches, now I have 9 plus 8 plus 8. I'm going to group those together because that's an easy math fact and get 16. Now when I add the 9 plus 16, I know that 6 plus 9 is going to be 15, carry over the 1. I'm going to get 25 inches. So the measurement all the way around, I am going to have to travel 25 inches to get around the perimeter of that shape. Now the next one that we're going to do here is also a quadrilateral. In this case, I have all 4 sides that are different measurements. So I have 2.5 inches, 4 inches, 7, and 8. And when I write those down, as always, remember, I'm going to keep my labels. 7, I'm lining up by the decimal point so that I make sure I don't get confused and put them in the wrong place value. If you want to, you can even put in some zeros there to keep everything neat and tidy. So here, it's just the 5 plus a bunch of zeros that will stay a 5. Now, I look at this, I see 8 and 2, and I know that that's an easy way to make a 10. I see the 7 and 4, and I know that, well, 7 plus 3 would be a 10, plus just one more, oh, that's an 11. 10 plus 11 I can do in my head. It's going to be 21. Don't forget to pull down the decimal point. Don't forget the label. So in this case, if I put a little ant down right here and it traveled around the perimeter, it would have to travel 21 and a half or 21 and 5/10 of an inch. And the last one that we are going to do together here is this quadrilateral right here. So I have 4.5 inches, 8 inches, 4 inches, and 5.5 inches. So I've already measured those, and I find that I have 4.5 or 4 and 5/10 or 4 and 1/2, always of describing that. I have 5.5 inches, and then I have 4 inches. Again, I can put a 0 there if I want to, and I have 8 inches. So I've got the 5s that will go together to make a nice 10. Here, I see that a 4 and a 1 will give me a 5, plus a 5. Oh, that's an easy way to get to 10. And I already know that 4 and 8 are 12. 12 plus 10, oh, that's 22. Don't forget to pull down my decimal. Oh, but look, it's just 22 even. I don't even need to keep that. I can just label it 22 inches. So if my little ant was to go all the way around the perimeter of this shape, that ant would have to travel 22 inches. Now, it does not matter how complex or wild and crazy my shape gets. In order to figure out the perimeter, all I have to do is measure the edges. Once I know the distances that each edge will measure, then I just simply add them all together. So, best of luck and enjoy figuring out perimeter.